June 11, 1988. The Sahara Desert at midnight is a study in absolute darkness. Two Boeing MH-47 Chinook helicopters cut through the black, flying 550 miles across northern Chad without navigation lights. Below them lay the answer to a question the Pentagon had been asking for 8 years. What made the Soviet Mi-24 Hind attack helicopter nearly impossible to shoot down? Welcome to Blacklight Archives. Kindly comment below where you are watching from and the time you are seeing this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's go. The Mi-25 was the export designation of the Soviet Mi-24 Hind D, one of the most classified aircraft systems in the Soviet arsenal. Western intelligence had named it the Devil's Chariot after watching it tear through Afghan resistance fighters in the late 1970s. The helicopter served dual roles no Western aircraft could match. It dropped 8 combat troops into hostile zones, then transformed into an attack gunship to cover them. Its armor withstood 12.7mm rounds across the entire airframe. The cockpit could absorb direct hits from 37mm autocannon fire. Soviet design philosophy, production standards, and weapons integration remained unknown to American engineers. Between 1978 and 1987, Libya and Chad fought over a 44,000 square mile strip of Sahara Desert called the Auzu Strip. Muammar Gaddafi backed insurgent groups with Soviet equipment. France supported the Chadian government. By 1987, Libya deployed 8,000 troops, 300 tanks, and dozens of Soviet aircraft, including multiple Mi-25 Hind helicopters. The Chadians countered with 10,000 soldiers mounted in Toyota pickup trucks armed with French anti-tank missiles. History would call it the Toyota War. In September 1987, Libyan forces collapsed. They abandoned $1.5 billion in equipment during their retreat north. 20 aircraft sat intact at the Wadi Dome airbase, including at least 2 Mi-25 Hind helicopters. The Libyans never came back for them. American, French, and Chadian officials negotiated in private. Chad agreed to surrender 1 Mi-25 Hind to the United States. The price was $2 million plus a shipment of Stinger anti-aircraft missiles. One condition defined the entire operation: complete secrecy. If Libya learned the United States was taking the helicopter, they would send bombers to destroy it. If the Soviet Union discovered the plan, they might do the same. But Moscow had standing orders to prevent Soviet military technology from falling into American hands intact. The mission went to the 161st Special Operations Aviation Regiment, an Army unit known as the Night Stalkers. Their specialty was missions no other unit would accept. In April 1988, Night Stalker crews trained in the deserts of New Mexico. They practiced sling-loading 6 1,900-liter water containers beneath a Chinook to simulate the Mi-25's weight distribution. The actual helicopter weighed 18,000 pounds. Pilots rehearsed night navigation over featureless terrain. Ground crews drilled the rigging procedures until they could work in total darkness. On June 10, 1988, more than 60 Army personnel boarded a Lockheed C-5 Galaxy transport at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. 2 MH-47 Chinooks sat in the cargo bay. The C-5 flew to N'Djamena International Airport in Chad. At midnight, both Chinooks lifted off for Wadi Dome, 550 miles north into the desert. A small American team was already on site when the Chinooks arrived. They had removed the Mi-25's rotor blades. One engine showed bullet damage, making flight impossible. The Night Stalkers shed every possible pound from their aircraft. External fuel tanks were left behind. Riggers attached the sling cables in darkness. The first Chinook lifted the Soviet helicopter beneath its fuselage. The second Chinook flew escort. Both turned south. No alarm sounded, no Libyan patrols appeared, no Soviet bombers came. 45 minutes from N'Djamena, a sandstorm rose from the desert floor. The wall of sand climbed more than 3,000 feet into the air. Visibility dropped to near zero. Both pilots slowed to minimum speed. They flew close enough to maintain visual contact through the storm. The Chinook, carrying the Mi-25, could not drop its load. There was no backup plan for losing the helicopter in the desert. At dawn on June 12, 1988, both MH-47s landed at N'Djamena, with the Soviet helicopter still suspended beneath the lead aircraft. Not a single shot had been fired. No personnel were lost. The entire mission lasted 70 hours from departure to recovery. The C-5 Galaxy flew the Mi-25 to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. Analysts at the National Air and Space Intelligence Center disassembled every system. They mapped the helicopter's armor configuration, fire control systems, engine design, and weapons integration. The Hind's turbine engines, hydraulics, and rotor mechanics revealed Soviet engineering philosophy American designers had never seen. Weapons experts examined the firing mechanisms for the AT-6 spiral anti-tank missiles and the 4-barrel Yak-B 12.7mm machine gun mounted in the nose turret. Soviet radar warning receivers, infrared jammers, and countermeasure dispensers were tested to establish their detection ranges and vulnerabilities. The information filled gaps in American intelligence that had existed since the Mi-24 entered service in 1972. Operation Mount Hope. 3 remained classified until 1992. 4 years after the mission, the public learned that the United States had stolen one of the Soviet Union's most protected weapon systems from the Libyan desert. The full intelligence assessment of the Mi-25 has never been declassified. See how much American helicopter design changed after examining the Hind remains unknown. The Pentagon never explained why the Soviet Union did not destroy the helicopters at Wadi Dome before American forces arrived. Libya never publicly acknowledged losing the aircraft. Moscow never commented on the operation. The stolen Mi-25 is now on display at the Southern Museum of Flight in Alabama. It sits behind a velvet rope. No placard explains what American engineers learned by taking it apart.